Good afternoon. This is week 4 of Social Work 633, Social Work with Families. This week the focus is on cultural competency, which is one of the tenets of the NASW Code of Ethics. So you will see the overview for this week. The objectives are as follows: to provide definitions of cultural competency and its relevance to family therapy, to identify at least 2 culturally based countertransference reactions when working with a family different from yours, to describe the key concepts of cultural competency that might be helpful if you worked with a family portrayed in the documentary Inside Life Outside, and then to identify principles for integrating a trauma lens into your work. So there are a lot of learning activities for this week. So let's first look at our learning resources. The required readings are as follows. Integrating a trauma lens in the family therapy framework, 10 principles for family therapists, 3 waves of family research and the emergence of family therapy for the lesbian and gay population, and then gender equality in intimate relationships. So those are our 3 required readings, and then you are to choose 2 from this list below. So you have a vast array of articles to choose from. Then we have a PDF of a cultural competence resource. And so I'm going to try to bring up that PDF. And I'm not going through it in its entirety because this is one thing that you need to do for one of the activities. But you will see the NASW Code of Ethics around the value of social justice and the ethical principle. You will see the definition of cultural competence, and we'll talk later about the fact that much of the diversity work now talks more about cultural humility versus cultural competence, but cultural competence, again, is in the Code of Ethics, so that definition. And there's an extensive definition, and then revisioning family therapy to work with women and minorities, to widen the lens, to rethink the place of women and minorities, radical transformation, and then inclusion. This looks at family therapy and its evolution, some of the evolution, but also the criticisms of family therapy, and then developing cultural competence. So please take a look at that handout because it's important for work in your learning activities for this week. The Multicultural Family Institute, which you've looked at before, and then there's a video on Inside Out. This is an older video from 1988. It does follow a homeless family in New York City. So keep in mind that the video is now 32 years old. So the goal is to get us to think about working with families who are different than the families that have often been depicted with 2 people, 2 parents, 2 children, and so this depicts a different look at families and what you would do as a social worker if you were working with these family groups. There's some optional work as well, resources as well. Next, we get into the learning activities for this week. So the first one is after you've looked at that resource that I brought up earlier, and after completing the readings, you will combine what you've read about cultural competence and your own interpretations of this concept and provide your own definition in your own words. Now that you've provided that definition, describe a client interaction that reflects your ideas about what it means to be culturally competent. And you will respond to one of your classmates. So this is due by Thursday, and the response is due between Friday and Sunday. Your next activity is after you've looked at the film Inside Life Outside, you will complete an initial post that answers the following. Discuss the impact of race, class, and gender on this family's dynamics and their access to services. And then 2 of the following. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possibilities to choose from, and then you're going to answer 2 of those questions. Your initial post is due by Thursday, your follow-up is due by Sunday, and the rubric for that is also noted. The next discussion post requires you to read the James and McKinnon article and list 2 of the principles that resonated the most with you in that article, and explain why you chose these principles and how you will use them with your own work with clients. This discussion is set up differently, so you have to do your initial post before you can see any other responses. So the goal is to ensure that your initial post is based on your own work without reading the work of others. So again, this is due by Thursday. Response is due between Friday and Sunday. Next is the written assignment for this week. So again, this is a week that has a lot of work that is required. So you're going to submit your paper using the instructions for the Family of Origin Theory paper, which is located in the main assignment. You will complete that paper. So I've gone to the Family of Origin paper components in the major assignments section of the syllabus. So you're going to select one model of family therapy. And since we have gone through structural, you'll look at Bowen's, you'll look at communication, contextual, and apply that model to your own family of origin. Make sure to use the headings for your paper so that you don't leave anything out. So you're going to look at the problem description, the hypothesis, the social cultural factors, family strengths, family life cycle stage, and your reflection on the process. So please make sure to take a look at this in its entirety. And I was looking for the suggested page count. Here it is. Your page should be 6 to 7 double spaced. This does not include the title page nor the reference page. And as always, this is in APA. And make sure that your references are in APA. During week 3, you submitted a draft of your family of origin genogram. So in week 4, you're now doing your final submission of that genogram based on the feedback I provided after week 3. So that is your next written assignment. For this week also, you have a chance to evaluate the class at its midpoint. I don't look at evaluations until later on in the semester. Your evaluations are anonymous. So once I look at them, if there is any adjustment that I can do in the class, I will do so. Many things I cannot change because the class structure is set up by other than myself, and the requirements are set up other than myself, including the syllabus. But if there's feedback that you want to provide that I can send to the program, then I would be more than happy to do so. And again, if there's feedback that is pertinent to my instruction in the class that I can change, I will be happy to take that into consideration. So those are the assignments for this week. I look forward to reviewing and again, always remember the self-care activity. It is encouraged for you to complete that, but it is not graded. So again, I look forward to reading your post, to looking at your family of origin paper, and to reviewing the final genogram submission. It is a very, very busy week. So I know that it's going to be difficult getting all these assignments completed. If you're going to be late submitting any of these assignments, please let me know in advance. And I look forward to, again, looking at your work, and have a wonderful week.